Oh, well, kia ora everyone. Tēnā koutou katoa, tuarua ki ngā mate haere atu rā. He mihi ki te iwi e taunei nai tahu, tēnā koutou. Ki a tātou e taunei kia ora. Ko Kimberley toku ingoa, nō reira e hoa mā me mutu I kone. Well, hello everyone. My name is Kimberley Collins. I will be your host for this evening. A big welcome to Predator Free Dunedin's annual general meeting. I'll start by giving a wee outline of how the meeting will go. The first thing that I will ask is that everyone keeps their videos off and also their microphone muted. There will be opportunities to ask questions in the chat area, which you can find at the bottom of your screen. These will be visible to everyone, so yeah, please just type those in and I'll try to make sure we can answer as many as possible. So this is the first time that we have run an online AGM. It's an exciting challenge, but I hope you all enjoy it. All the information that you see today will be available on our website and in our annual report after the meeting, and I'll also be recording it. So I'll send those out following the meeting. But without further ado, we're first going to see a video update from Jinty McTavish, who many of you will know as our current Predator Free Dunedin chair and now our outgoing chair. So that will be followed by a video from Sally, who is our incoming chair, and then we'll also go over a summary of the financials for the year.
Kia ora koutou katoa, ko Jinty aho. My name's Jinty and I'm the outgoing Predator Free Dunedin chair. It's been a huge privilege to work with the Predator Free Dunedin community over the last 2 years in this role, but with my 7-month-old son, it's just become obvious that I can't balance the needs of my family with the big responsibility of being Predator Free Dunedin chair and all of the outreach that's required to keep in touch with our community and all the work that's happening on the ground. Over the past month, I've been spending a lot of time with Sally, our incoming chair, and I'm really excited about the skill sets that she's going to bring to the role and the energy and the time that she's got to commit. It's been a super busy year for Predator Free Dunedin. We've been really focused on some conversations with Predator Free 2050 about funding for an expansion opportunity that we were engaged with the membership around this time last year. Thanks to the mandate that the community gave us, we were able to go in with some confidence into those conversations, and we've been able to secure that funding, which is really exciting. So all that remains is to put some signatures on some dotted lines and crack on with the mahi in the early new year, which will be a great next step for the project, and provides a lot of security and certainty for our delivery partners out to 2025. We've also been doing a lot around the board table, so strategically we've been working on our reporting. We've really strengthened up both our financial and our non-financial reporting, which assists with communication both internally within Predator Free Dunedin, also with our delivery partners and also through to our funders. So we're pretty happy with where that's sitting now. One of the key things that I wanted to leave on, it's really clear that the government have got 2 goals by 2050. They want to be predator free, which is what we're all about, that's our bread and butter, but they also want us to be carbon neutral. And I think it's really essential that in the conservation sector, knowing what we know about how essential it is that we combat climate change, that we ensure that that is core to our mahi too. And so the wero, or the challenge that I would like to leave for the Predator Free Dunedin community is, by all means, let's continue this amazing work that we're doing together around Predator Free, but let's make sure that we are doing it with the smallest number of emissions that we can.
All right, so we are very sad to see Jinty go, of course, but very excited to welcome our new chair for the trust, and that is Sally Peart. So I will play a video now from her and she will introduce herself to you all. So yeah, haere mai, welcome Sally. We're really happy to have you as part of our Predator Free Dunedin whānau.
First of all, I just want to acknowledge the work that Jinty McTavish has done as our outgoing chair. I've been really impressed over the last month as I've shadowed her at the organisation and the focus that she brings to board meetings and to the strategy as a whole. And I know I've got some really big shoes to fill. However, I'm really excited at the challenge. I've lived on the peninsula for the last 20 years. I'm a really keen tramper. I love birds and we've brought up our children with a really strong focus on the outdoors and appreciating our local environment. So I'm really looking forward to working with the Trust and with our delivery partners to keep up the good work that's been achieved over the last few years. You know, we've really noticed the increase in bird life in our local hood, and I really want to be able to work on guiding the board and working with our delivery partners to keep that going. I think there's some really exciting initiatives ahead of us, and I think just coming in from the outside, that raising the profile of the work of the delivery partners and of the Trust is a real priority, and I think that'll get us some real traction in terms of helping the funding efforts and getting community engagement with the initiatives that the Trust and the delivery partners have. So that's one of the priorities I'm really keen to work on with the board. I think community engagement's a really big thing. It's a great project, and you know, it's such a great goal for us to work towards Predator Free 2050. My background is that I'm a lawyer, and so I bring some skills to the board in terms of the contract work and just overall strategy that I apply in advising my clients, and I'm hoping that will be a positive contribution to the board. I'm really looking forward to the opportunity to meet all of the people involved in the delivery partners and the projects, getting to see what you're doing on the ground, and just furthering those efforts. I'm a people person, and that community engagement is really important for me, so look forward to meeting you all.
Well, kia ora, Sally. As I said, welcome to the whānau. We're really excited to have you as part of our community. So I will now share our summary of the financial position for the Predator Free Dunedin Trust for the year ended 30 of June 2021. And I'll invite Jinty to turn her camera on if she would like to speak to these. But as I did mention earlier, they are available in our annual report, and they will be available online, and we'll send those out in more detail straight after the meeting. So Jinty, if you're unmuted and ready to go.
Yeah, ready to go, Kimberly.
Great.
Yeah, kia ora koutou katoa. It's always slightly embarrassing to see a video of yourself. So yeah, it's a new format to get used to, but a very abbreviated summary of our financial position. As Kimberly said, this is now historic. It's a snapshot of where the Trust was at the end of June, the financial year ending June. So I'll go through it very, very quickly. But essentially the revenue for the Trust comes from three sources, and that is our PF 2050 contract, a grant agreement that we have with the Dunedin City Council, and also one with the Otago Regional Council. The expenses are all related to delivery partner funding, so that's for work on the ground, as well as the planning work that they do ahead of that, the operations on the ground. Plus for a small amount is used by the Trust directly for project management, so that's governance of the whole project, sorry, not governance, management of the whole project, and the planning and the work that sits around that. And also, again, a small quantum sits with the Trust and is directly used for the purpose of research. And we'll be hearing a little bit more about that later on. So in terms of the summary of where things were at the end of June, 162,000 in the bank at year end, and when the liabilities and debtors are taken into account, PFD's accumulated balance was 52,000 at the end of the period. Our cash position at 126k was less than that of the previous full year, simply because of the timing of the relationship that the grants that we give to delivery partners. And it would be fair to say that the funds at year end also are dictated essentially by the timing of grants, or the incoming monies and the outgoing grants to those delivery partners. So it is a bit of a juggle, and that year-end position was probably about the lowest that we've been, and it can sometimes get a little bit like that, given that we have money coming in that is already pre-allocated, and the timing of that can be a bit of a juggle. But I guess that's something that Sally will be looking to explore a little bit with delivery partners about how we manage that. It's never been a problem, and it's not likely to be. But if there were a call on funds, an unexpected call on funds from delivery partners for an unbudgeted expense or something similar, then there is a risk there that needs to be managed. So some conversations to be had, I think, about how that can be dealt with into the future. So yeah, that's a very brief summary of where everything's at, or everything was at. As I say, we've moved on from here, but in the absence of a treasurer, I guess it falls to Reese and I to answer any questions that come up. And back to you, Kimberly.
Thanks, Ginty. So yes, if anyone does have any questions, I think it's probably easiest if you type them into the chat, and if you think of something later on perhaps that you wanted to ask, you can also flick us an email or get in touch with Ginty or Reese directly, I suppose. I can't see any questions. So Ginty, if you're happy, we will continue. I will mention that if any of the other trustees would like to speak at this point, there is an opportunity just to ask questions or make comment generally. But if there's not, I think we will carry on. Okay, great. We will now go to Reese Miller, who is the project lead for Predator Free Dunedin. So I'll invite him to turn on his camera. And Reese is just going to give a quick update on Predator Free Dunedin as a whole, just a sort of overview of where things are at and all the awesome mahi that's been happening.
This might be our first technological faux pas, Kim. It's saying I can't turn my video on because you've stopped it. Here we go. Thank you. Should
work. Great. Awesome. Over to you, Reese.
Thank you. Kia ora koutou, everyone. Thank you all for attending this event. This is our third AGM for Predator Free Dunedin, and our first, perhaps only, online event. Look, it's fair to say we relish opportunities to see everyone and to reconnect with you on a regular basis, but unfortunately this year, as I'm sure you will understand, that's been a real challenge. We're hoping that next year it provides for greater opportunities in that regard. Despite the challenges of the pandemic, our 3 delivery partners, 22 member organisations and hundreds of volunteers have been working hard to protect our native biodiversity and to strengthen communities across Ōtepoti, Dunedin. So I'm going to give you an overview of the work that's been completed over the last year. Thanks, Kim. So this slide summarises I guess the predator removal in the project to date. So 45,000 possums, over 4,000 rats, and more than 900 mustelids across the 3 projects. Next slide, thanks, Kim. This slide gives you an overview of current trapping network across the 3 projects. As you can see, there's a good saturation across what is close to 30,000 hectares of both mustelid and possum trapped and rat trap devices. I'm just going to give you a quick overview of the work that's been completed by the 3 delivery partners, and then you will see some videos from them in due course. So starting with the peninsula, of course, the aspiration is eradicating possums, and the OPBG is continuing to make good progress towards that objective. More than 25,000 possums have been removed to date. Next year, the OPBG will aim to demonstrate proof of absence of possums on the outer peninsula, so sectors 1, 2 and 3, which covers more than 6,000 hectares from Pukekura, Toroa Head to Cape Saunders. So that's really starting to get to the meaty end of an eradication attempt. A lean network of self-resetting traps is now in place to take out the last remaining possums. So this is complemented by a network of camera traps, which provide both long-term monitoring to prove that possums have been eradicated and to stop future incursions. Bait stations are now active in rural areas of the southern peninsula, so that's sector 4, so that's basically Portobello back to the city. The OPBG are also rolling out a trapping network in residential areas of sector 4 to clean up any remaining possums. This is largely a community-driven exercise, and the success of this network will be determined by the support of the community, which historically and to date is very strong. Though possums are the eradication target for the OPBG and are central in the headlights, they're not the only focused predator species for this group, and the community is also rallying to target other predators, such as rats and mustelids. Across the harbour, the Halo project now has mustelid traps across 12,500 hectares. So thanks to the hard work of staff and volunteers, more than 1,600 stoat traps have been deployed across the area between Flagstaff, Waititi, Aramoana, and everywhere in between. So the team's hoping to see a stoat population drop by 90% or more, which is clearly amazing news for our native biodiversity. Concurrently, a possum trap network is being rolled out to build on the gains made by Osprey, who have now at least temporarily left that side of the harbour. A trial of AT220 possum traps has seen good results. So these automatic possum and rat traps have an expected 6-month battery life, automatically dispensing lure, and the ability to shut down during daylight hours. So the Halo project with Orokonui Eco Sanctuary and the University of Otago worked closely to test how birds interact with the traps. And after promising results, a larger trial was established through Hayward Point in the hope that these AT220s can be rolled out as part of a low maintenance trap network to further build on the gains made by Osprey's landscape scale possum control operations. City Sanctuary has more than 1,700 traps on the ground in very short time. So they're spread across backyards and reserves across the city. In this group, the City Sanctuary team continue to work with a diverse range of communities, including students in North Dunedin. All 3 pilot sites are up and running and are at various stages of their journey. Dunedin City Council contractors, as a part of the City Sanctuary work, have installed a multi-species trap network throughout the priority reserves and completed a knockdown. There's an average density of 1 possum trap per hectare and 2 rat traps per hectare in suitable habitat. Thanks, Kim. So all these, just looking at the biodiversity outcomes, clearly the predator numbers are core to our business. It's really the increase in native taoka species that really drives our motivation. So it's incredibly inspiring to see all the messages as people are sharing local wildlife observations as well as their predator sightings and letting the teams know what is happening with their networks of traps. Combined with our monitoring programs, the intelligence gained from the sightings from Dunedin's community is critical, and the data is being incorporated into our planning. So rifle, Titi Punamu, and South Island robin and the South Island tomtit are being observed in the city. New Zealand falcon are often seen flying over North East Valley. And other taoka species from Orokonui Eco Sanctuary are continuing to expand to find safe haven beyond the fence. Residents from the Otago Peninsula are noticing the benefits of reduced predator numbers. Tui and kangaroo populations appear to be thriving, with increased numbers of sightings being reported. Sightings of brown creeper and ruru or moorpork have also been reported, as well as kaka being heard and seen flying overhead in Portobello. Thanks, Kim. The predator-free mahi, of course, is all about our communities. So one of the goals for PFD and its delivery partners is bringing people together to create healthy, resilient and more connected communities. People are getting out into nature and working together. In such uncertain times, these connections seem to be, or are, more important than ever. One of the things that continues to blow me away with this project is the huge and ever-growing levels of support and participation to achieve the shared predator-free vision. I guess potentially, like many crises, the pandemic changes come with opportunity. We have watched the community step up to assist and drive this project. It's really been amazing to see. PFD and its delivery partners proudly place local people at the core of the mission. City Sanctuary, for example, have trained volunteers and project staff to manage a trap library. A new one-year service level agreement will allow the Valley Project to provide face-to-face support for backyard trappers, including trap installations and maintaining the trap library. Again, in City Sanctuary, trapping best practice has been refined, with trap lines now being handed over to more than 200 people who have signed up to volunteer in the reserves. Activities such as trapping workshops have been held at Dunedin Botanic Garden during the Wild Dunedin Festival and at Mitre 10 as part of the New Zealand International Science Festival. These workshops are a great opportunity to work collaboratively as part of Predator Free Dunedin and for members to showcase backyard trapping and other complementary actions that residents can take part in to improve their backyard biodiversity. Thanks, Kim. So we're getting a bit of press, which is great. We're being seen in the media, reflective of the work, I think, of our work being valued by our communities. So on the telly, national radio, there's been segments of either PFD or delivery partners on 7 Sharp, One News, and then in the TV series Fight for the Wild. We've even gone international. There's a humorous interaction with Fox TV a couple of weeks ago. And our local press, via the Star, the Critic and the ODT, are strong supporters and regularly provide us with space for our stories. So this media engagement helps all of the team to connect with a wider audience and to build the predator-free kaupapa. None of this has been easy this year. COVID conditions make this work challenging and is wearying for all. And when combined with escalating costs and supply issues, it's easy to see why everyone is really looking forward to Christmas holidays. And no doubt that goes for all of you. Delivery partners and the PF team are working strongly together. Resources and learnings are shared as a matter of course now, helped by the Verge's cottage premises provided by the DCC. The shared thinking which arises from working closely is enormous benefit to the project. Without this collaboration, our ability to achieve the end goals would be significantly reduced. We've settled into a good rhythm of quarterly operational gatherings where operational findings and progress are shared, as well as findings from the researchers at the University in Manaki Whenua. These quarterly gatherings give all of the team an opportunity to learn about the particular challenges, the wins within each of the project areas. Next year, all going well, we will be hosting a number of workshops and seminars for all PFD member organisations and for the public. 3 years in now, our commissioned research and operational data and team learnings are increasingly informative and of use to all. I'd like to take this opportunity to give a heartfelt thanks to the delivery partner teams. I know they're definitely putting all of their all into this work because of the belief in the mission and what is being achieved. Their dedication is certainly inspiring. So thank you all. I'd also like to thank the governance groups of each of Ōtepoti, LCT and City Sanctuary. Their commitment to this work is enormous and often understated, but without it, these projects would not exist. None of this would be possible without support from our key funders, being PF Predator Free 2050 Limited, the DCC and the IRC. We're truly grateful for their ongoing support. And Osprey continues to be a core co-funder in an in-kind capacity and is fundamental to the success of this project. The PFD Trust provides governance to the Predator Free Dunedin mission. So this is a large project and one that requires considered and deliberate oversight. The PFD trustees commit a significant amount of time and energy to this project, providing clear direction and strong advice. Their collective hearts and minds have been drawn upon a lot over this last year as the significant expansion project went through an in-depth due diligence phase and sought significant co-funding. So thank you, Jordana, Gareth, Matt, Mark, Hoani, and Jinty. Jinty, you've led this trust through a phase of tightening up its approach to risk management and considering forward strategy. Your diligence and attention to detail is second to none, and for the benefit of all of us involved. However, it's your nature and ability to be strong and forthright, yet always warm and friendly, which I personally value the most. So we will miss you, and we wish you all the best for this new phase in your life. You have left us with a challenge of weaving decarbonisation into predator control and biodiversity enhancement, and I'm sure we will all take this challenge up. Sally, haere mai, welcome. Welcome to the PFD team and to the mission at hand. We're looking forward to benefiting from your expertise and your fresh insight into our work. And lastly, a huge thanks to our incredible Dunedin community, to everyone who has been involved, no matter how big or small. Thank you. Thanks, Kim.
Well, kia ora, Reese. Thank you so much for going over it. There's quite a lot that has been happening. So really hard to summarise in a few slides, but I think you gave it a great go. We will move into the delivery partner updates now. Would you like to introduce that part of our kōrero?
Sure. Well, how about I'll leave that with you, Kim?
You go on. That's fine. Cool. All right. Well, you can turn your camera off then and I'll keep on going. So we're now going to have some delivery partner updates. So as Reese mentioned, we do have this awesome team of people who are out on the ground, doing the mahi, getting the traps out and engaging with the community. So we have created some more video updates for you today, and we will take questions after each of those videos. So for the delivery partner managers, once your video is done, you can just pop your video on or make sure that you're not on mute. And if we do have any questions coming up in the chat, we'll ask those of you. So we'll first hear from the Halo project, which is being delivered by the Landscape Connections Trust. And they've been doing some incredible work, as we've heard already, but no better way to tell that story than with some visuals and beautiful videos.
Hi, I'm Jonah from the Halo project. It's been a challenging but extremely busy year, and we've achieved some great things thanks to the hard work of our staff and volunteers. We've now deployed a network of stoat traps across the full project area of 12,500 hectares, and these are now being serviced monthly by volunteers and staff. We've now reached the end of Osprey's original TB-free program throughout the Mount Cargill area. This has seen the removal of more than 22,000 possums and puts us in a great place to start our succession program. We're starting to see really amazing return of wildlife throughout the area, with many residents reporting robin, kārearea, kāka, bellbirds, and at night time going to sleep with the sound of moorpork. We're now starting to see the forest recover. We're seeing trees that have previously been browsed for many decades starting to have really healthy regrowth. See recruitment of new seedlings in the understory. We're finally starting to see the reward of all this investment. I'd really like to say a big thank you to everyone that's helped make this possible over the last year. Without all the support, we couldn't have achieved anything. So we're really grateful for all of your support. and helping us to achieve the predator-free visions for Dunedin and its surrounding environment.
Awesome. Jinty's just said in the chat that hearing about residents going to sleep with the sound of more pork makes her happy, and it makes me very happy too. It's an amazing sound. We welcome Jonah, the delivery partner, manager for the Halo Project's Predator Free program, and we'll move on to questions. So if anyone has one, feel free to pop them in the chat, but I'll actually start, if you don't mind, and ask a question of you, which is simply, what have the biggest challenges for your team been this year?
Kia ora, everyone. Yeah, good question, Kimberly. There's certainly been a few, both personal and professional, so safe to say we've overcome the majority of them, which is great. Obviously, COVID was a big spanner in the works, but part of that challenge, I guess, is many of the suppliers we use are based in Auckland. So despite us having relative freedom, a lot of the supplies we rely on have been tied up and still are. So looking forward to that shifting. Yeah, as Reece mentioned, we've been working really hard to understand the non-target risks of the possum succession program and the A2220 traps. So we've put in a huge amount of work to understand that with our key stakeholders, Orokonui and the University of Otago. So yeah, big thanks to everyone for working collaboratively in this space. Yeah, they've probably been some of the main challenges. And then, to be honest, balancing the expansion planning with the continual improvement of our existing operations.
Yeah, well, I mean, you've done an amazing job regardless of those challenges. But I think inevitably, you know, as you said in your video, those outcomes around native biodiversity are just going to make it all worthwhile. So I've had a question from the chat. Jonah, could you talk specifically about some of the feedback that you've been getting from the community?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like we said, when people were reporting, like Jinty, you know, like it just, it's hard to even describe the feeling when people, you know, tell us about going to sleep to the sound of a ruru and, you know, seeing these fantastic species flying over urban areas. I mean, that's the stuff that really makes a difference for us and people that have lived in, you know, Port Chalmers for 40 years, saying they're suddenly seeing no possums and their rose bushes in their gardens are thriving. Yeah, it's all those wee sort of tidbits you get by just being out there, part of the community. So yeah, there's, to be honest, too much to list.
Yeah, I can imagine. Oh, well, ka pai. We will let you go. If you just turn off your video, we'll move on to the next delivery partner, and that is City Sanctuary. So we'll just start with a video. This photo, by the way, I'm very proud of, was taken by me just outside. That's on the neighbour's chimney, and you can see the Northeast Valley shops in the background. So already seeing the benefits of their mahi with keraru just chilling out on chimney tops. But yes, so here is the video for City Sanctuary, and I'll note that although I am in this video, the team of Kate and Zach and Catherine are awesome doing the mahi, and yeah, real proud to see how far they've come since I moved on to Predator Free Dunedin.
Kia ora, I'm Catherine Bradley from the City Sanctuary Project. Our team have had a fantastic year this year. We've been ramping up our community engagement throughout our project area. We're active now in all of our priority suburbs and 3 pilot sites. And we've had so many fantastic learnings from these operations already that are really going to inform how we move ahead throughout our operational area. We've been so overwhelmed with the enthusiasm from all of the backyard residents who have been involved, and it's been great to see how the different traps that we've been using have been working.
Oh,
all of the North
Valley
project involved, and it's been great to see how the different traps that we've been using have been working. We've also been collaborating with the Open View project from the Valley project in the Northeast Valley. These guys have been setting up
a trap library that services all of the northern priority suburbs, and now are actively targeting residential areas that have important habitat that we need to protect around our priority reserves. We've also set up a multi-species network throughout all of our priority reserves in areas like the Botanic Garden and the town belt behind me. This network has pulled out a massive amount of rats, possums and mice, and we're excited to be establishing our stoat network as well. We couldn't have done this without our fantastic contractors and the help of over 50 volunteers. So a big thank you to all of our amazing volunteers and our backyard residents who have helped this project ramp up this year.
Wouldn't be an online AGM without a wee technical glitch. Sorry about that, but yeah, well done, Catherine. I'll get you to pop your video on and we will have a look to see if there are any videos. But while we wait, I unsurprisingly actually have one for you.
Oh, I think you might have to start my video. Oh, here we go. Here we go.
There we go.
Sorry, Kim.
Kia ora.
Kia ora.
My question is actually about the pilot sites. You've been working on them now for over a year. All 3 of them are set up. Do you think it's possible to summarise what some of your key learnings have been from those pilot suburbs?
Oh, there are so many. We could be here for like an hour and a half with me babbling that on, but don't worry, folks. We'll be writing up a report in the new year to summarise our findings. I felt a little bit, that video is a little bit all about me, which is really not like me. So I just want to give another big shout out to Zach and Kate, and also Claire Cross and Emily from OpenView, and our contractors. Couldn't have done it without them this year, and Kim's still been supporting us hugely, so thanks, Kim, too. Some of the big reflections for us, so the 3 pilot sites have been North Dunedin, Māori Hill and Caversham. So we've been in Māori Hill for the longest, almost a year. North Dunedin was a bit of a quick frenzy for us from February to October this year, and we've been in Caversham this year since July. So all very much at different stages, but there's definitely some really big learnings that we've taken away that will certainly apply to our work program going ahead. So one of the things we were testing was the effectiveness of different trap types. So we were looking at different rat traps, and we were given the task of testing Good Nature A24s, which are the self-resetting traps. And they have an app that reports the trap catch data through your phone. And then we were using another trap, a more traditional trap that's like a snap trap called the Victor, and a T-Rex trap. So we kind of gave those out randomly, lots of different properties, different people, and then monitored how those traps were used by the people, what barriers there were, if they were catching anything. So one of the big learnings for us have been with the Good Nature A24 traps. The concept with these traps is that if they worked really well, we could set up a self-sustainable network throughout the city that would, people could set up, and then they'd have the lure, the bait sent to their properties. We'd be pretty hands-off. The data would just flow through magically to our reporting systems that would go into Trap NZ. So the concept was absolutely fantastic. The hardware is pretty solid. That's very reliable kill trap. But the app has had quite a few glitches that I'm sure if the cameras were on Zach and Kate right now, you would see their faces. It's been a pretty difficult time for them kind of, experiencing how the app works. And there's definitely been some glitches with getting the data off onto your phone and then us having to report that into our reporting system. But people have really loved it. So it is an easy trap to use, and put in the right place, we're getting really great catches with it. So in our reserve networks, they've been performing really well. So that being said, we've learned a lot about that trap type, and we'll probably be more strategic with where we place it rather than in areas where there's not a lot of habitat. I think that's one of the biggest things we've learned from that. And also another key thing I just want to say is it's not a spray and walk away program. It's so important for us to put in a lot of effort supporting residents. Our model is all being about community led, which is very much the case, but I would say it's more about us supporting the community. We can't rely on residents to do all the mahi. So really important learning for us is that we can't just drop traps off to people and give them really good instructions and be like, cool, off you go. We really need to go in and do the install, make sure people are following the instructions to a T and are comfortable setting and servicing the trap.
Yeah.
And then we can't just walk away. We've got to be there holding their hand until they're really confident with their trap use. So that's something that we'll definitely have to consider going ahead, because it's a lot of time per person. But that's two of the big learnings for us, that we'll take away.
Awesome. I can't wait to read the report. We've had a question here from Francesca who says, what is the right place for an A24? If you could briefly give her a bit of background.
Hi, Francesca. So one of the pilots was North Dunedin, and I don't know what our final catch rate was on the good nature traps. We could certainly get that for you, but they were really effective for hedgehogs. But as you can imagine, the habitat in North Dunedin was primarily student flats, so concrete jungle, like couches, rubbish everywhere, broken glass. So in that type of environment, we were not catching a lot at all in either of the traps. We were catching a lot on river edges, but most of the traps we had on the river edges were the Victor snap traps. So I couldn't say they're what performed the best. But we're finding them working really well. So we've got them in Ross Creek, we've got them in Chingford Bush and Chingford Park. So areas like fuchsia forest, fuchsia gullies, mixed broadleaf. But then they're also working really well in the open Kanuka blocks in Ross Creek. And they're a really good trap for us, the bycatch, because with the Victor traps, we often get bycatch with blackbirds and sparrows, and we don't seem to get that with the A24s and the reserves. That's also really helpful to know with like riflemen and robin around that, and we can set that in a way that we're not going to get catches or hurt them. So forested areas, gully, mixed broadleaf, it's working awesome.
Awesome. Marcia says A24s work really well beneath rifleman nests. Any trap does, surely.
And not a house for the rifleman.
No, they're not allowed to take up residence like they did in the possum trap.
No.
Awesome. I think that's probably all the questions we have time for at the moment. But
thanks everyone
so much, Catherine. I'll get you to turn your video off, and keep up the good work, team. So next we have got Predator Free Peninsula, which of course is being delivered by the wonderful folks at Otago Peninsula Biodiversity Group, and it is another video update. So without further ado, I will switch over to Matthew Montgomery, to update everyone on what's been happening on the peninsula.
Welcome everyone. My name is Monty, manager for Otago Peninsula Biodiversity Group, and we've had a stellar year. We've finished our knockdown operations on the sectors 1 to 3, or the outer peninsula for the layman, and we've had great support from all of the landowners. So a big thank you to all of the landowners. We are at the forefront of a big experiment really to see if it can be done, the mainland possum eradication. It's been done on islands, but so we're at the cutting edge of technology, so we're sort of learning as we go and being able to give that information back to the rest of New Zealand. In particular, we have a censored network, so we have traps on the ground with nodes attached to them, and they work on a radio frequency. So when we capture an animal in a live capture trap, we'll be sent an email and we can go out and dispatch the animal. The other technology that we are using is automatic self-resetting traps as well, the AT220s, which only need to be checked every 6 months. So that's a huge saving on labour out in the field. We have a staff of 8, but we also have a volunteer backyard and on-the-ground force in the hundreds. So it enables us to do everything that we do. So a huge thank you to the volunteers. They're an extension of our workforce and they're passionate people. Everything from backyard trapping to vegetation monitoring to bird counts. yeah, it's all what we do out on the peninsula. So thank you to them. So we're working towards possum eradication on the peninsula. That's the first big milestone for us. And obviously we're a part of Predator Free 2050, so we want to get rid of all of the predators on the peninsula. So we're looking forward to getting into some mustelids as well, which are a huge problem, and also hedgehogs, underrated predator. So yeah, basically anything that affects our native flora and fauna, we want to take out so we can enable it to thrive. We've had great success, as evident in our report for our vegetation monitoring study over the 10 years. Huge increase, and that's a direct result of removing animals that browse on the trees, such as the possum. So yeah, happy to be where we are and succeeding, and looking forward to the future and a predator-free peninsula.
Oh, kia ora, Monty. Such a beautiful landscape you're working in out there, and awesome mahi. Huge project, huge goal. I'll get you to chuck on your camera or your microphone if you don't mind. And yeah, looks like you got some of the team there with you.
Oh, can you see us?
Yes.
That's Michaela and myself.
Cool. Oh, kia ora. So we've got Michaela and Monty from OPBG. Looks like there is a couple of questions. So one is, what are the methods being deployed to complete the final sweeps through sectors 1 to 3? And if you could explain where the sectors are, that would be helpful for people too.
Okay, the sectors they start at the end of the peninsula down by Tairoa Head with sector 2. Around the Portobello area is sector 3, and then out towards Cape Saunders is sector 1. And as far as what we're doing to get rid of the last possums, anything we can come up with, we're engaging local volunteers to do shooting where they're happy and willing to do that. We're looking at doing blitzes with leg hold traps in certain areas where there's just hot spots of animals and the lean network isn't picking them all up. Chucking more traps out anywhere that we see a possum that isn't going into another trap, basically. Just, yeah, anything we can think of. Yeah,
totally. And I guess that's where the innovative nature of Predator Free 2050 and with the work that you're doing comes into it. So like what kind of
now where traditional methods aren't really going to cut it. So we've moved from wax tags to camera traps. The camera gives us like a sharper tool with our detection, and then we respond in any and all ways that we have at our disposal.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a good answer. And hey, look, you know, we're all behind you. We all want to see you succeed, and we are grateful for all the work you've been putting in thus far and all the mahi that you'll continue to do. So ka pai to the whole team. I know there's a few of you on the call, so yeah, shout out to you and to all the other delivery partner team members that are here as well. It's a really great crew to work with, and yeah, great to be amongst such passionate people. Kate says, all tools in the toolbox, how can we help? See, case in point, collaboration. Can't do it without it. Cool. Well,
interesting ideas on how to get rid of possums. Anything that comes into your brain when you're lying awake in the middle of the night, just throw it our way.
Oh yeah, I'm sure there'll be some creative suggestions. All right, well, we will move on, so I'll get you to turn your camera off. We are just getting short on time, so what I'll do now is we're going to move into a wee piece about the expansion that you will have heard Jinty mention in her presentation at the start, and a few others whilst they've been talking. So Reese, if you could pop your video on, I think that would be, you should be able to do it yourself. There we go. Cool. I don't need to give you permission. No, great. There you are. Awesome. So I'll hand over to Reese now to give an update about the expansion. And yeah, hopefully you can see the next slide okay, but it's a bit small. But again, I'll send all of this out after the meeting, so don't stress. Reese, over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Kim. So as you will all know, last year we received an opportunity to expand the Predator Free Dunedin ambition. So that arose out of the government's COVID-19 response. We pitched a range of ideas to expand and accelerate predator control across Dunedin and sought feedback from the Predator Free Dunedin membership on those ideas and concepts, and we received overwhelming support to progress, which we have done. The process has taken a lot longer than we anticipated. These things seem to. Since the endorsement from the membership, we've been working to ensure that proposed operations are both robust and achievable. So a number of significant considerations required due diligence and absorbed a lot of our time, but was very important work to do. Ultimately, we identified a $1 million hole in our budget once we better refined how we would deliver these operations. So we entered subsequent negotiations with Predator Free 2050 Limited, and they have agreed to an additional $506,000. So this increases the expansion funding from PF 2050 from 3.51 to $3.6 million. It still leaves PFD with a deficit of $506,000 in the 2024-25 years, and the board of Predator Free Dunedin have agreed that level of risk and deficit can be managed, and that PFD will seek those funds in due course from other places. So it's a significant expansion. It's an exciting expansion. A part of our time over the last year has been spent securing co-funding. We're really excited to have two new partners on board. They're both forestry companies. City Forest being the first one. They're funding PFD for several years. So they're keen to be part of a broader and more coordinated approach to predator control and to improve biodiversity, both within their own forest estates, but also to be a part of a connected landscape. So we're really delighted that City Forest have joined the mission, both as a funder and as a land manager. The other company is Juanita Forest Products. So they've joined PFD in a significant capacity. So Juanita and its asset manager New Forests have partnered with Predator Free Dunedin with the goal of increasing protection for Dunedin's biodiversity. Funding from Juanita will see predator control on its own forestry estate, so mustelid network through some of the high ecological value areas across Berwick, Mangatua and Mount Allen, but also a significant amount of funding allocated to public land in Silver Stream, both for mustelids and for possums. So we're starting to see the connection back into Flagstaff and into the Silver Peaks, out to the existing Halo project area, and then back around to the peninsula. So look, Juanita's work is showing significant leadership, and it really lays a strong foundation for Predator Free Dunedin to expand on its vision. So big thanks to Dave Cormack and James McEwen at the team at Juanita. It's a very exciting time for us. Kim, the map would be good. So apologies, this is going to be pretty hard to view, but look in summary what the expansion means to us, starting with the Halo area, is in the yellow piece there. The target for possum control gets much more pointy, and we're aiming for zero density, so not far off eradication. So that's a significant increase in ambition. Then across the area in orange, which is large, it encapsulates the bulk of coastal Dunedin's conservation estate, so including Silver Peaks, the Silver Stream water catchment, which is also significant, has significant biodiversity values, and then Mount Ellen area out to the Tairi River, and up so far as the Waikouiti River. That is to serve as a buffer for all of the existing predator-free operations. So a big knockdown on possum population numbers, again, largely following in the tracks of osprey. Not always though, there are some gaps where osprey will not work and where the Halo project will provide an alternative succession project. For City Sanctuary, it means a large expansion through habitat right through the core of the city. So City Sanctuary are taking on a really pivotal role in protection of the zero density area for the Halo and in the eradication zone, which is the Otago Peninsula. The City Sanctuary piece is also core, and what we're finding is there are big pathways of habitat coming through off Flagstaff and behind Flagstaff across Silver Stream, Silver Peaks. So there is, it's a key piece in the landscape in terms of managing possum influx. So look, operational planning is just beginning now. We've only really just got over the line with all of this. It's taken quite some work. What we have had the benefit from, though, in the initial phases was some budget for PFD communications and engagement. We did not have this before, and we've identified that clearly building public support for the Predator Free Dunedin mission is critical both to the existing project and to the expansion. So we're really lucky to have Kim on board. She's doing an amazing job. She's been core to achieving this expansion and to raising the profile of both of PFD and its delivery partners. After tonight's hosting, I'm a little bit worried that Fox Weather are going to be knocking on the door to try and poach you again, Kim. So let's try and keep that one at bay. But that's where we're at. So excited about the expansion, and as of next calendar year, after Christmas, we're really into it. Thank you. You're on mute, Kim.
Maybe I won't be getting a job with Fox News. I have got a question for you from Catherine, who wants to know what zero density is for those that might not know, and it's a very good point. So Reese, what is zero density?
Yeah, it's am I unmuted? Basically, we're getting the possum population to a level whereby we may not have removed every last possum as you would in an eradication project, but the possum populations are so low that rebreeding would not be expected, or breeding would not be expected to occur. So there might still be the odd lonely possum floating around out there, but they're not proximate enough to their mates to enable breeding.
Awesome, thanks. Jonah says, when are we expanding to the rest of Te Waiponamu? That might be a question for Predator Free 2050.
Well, I can say that Papatupi Runanga in Mirihiku Southland are very keen to join forces with us. So it might be starting from the south and coming up our way.
Yeah, and look, you know, we're always chatting with other groups in the South Island and beyond. We've got a visit next week from one. So yeah, eventually we'll all just, I guess, merge together. We're just running short on time, so what I might do is carry on. Thank you so much, Reese, for that, and I will be sending out some information about this as part of our annual report after the meeting concludes. So actually that is the next slide. What we've done this year, because we are doing things online, is we've tried to create an interactive annual report for 2021. So what you can do is go to this website, which I'll send to everyone once this meeting's finished, and it essentially presents all of the information that you've seen today and some of the information that's in the PDF version of our annual report in a way that I guess is just more interactive, more fun. There's a map that you can click to see some of those outcomes and biodiversity observations we mentioned earlier. You can also watch all of those videos again if you would like to, and you can similarly share them with anyone who couldn't be here tonight, say if you're on a committee and you're representing one of the member organisations. So yeah, very exciting. I'd like to actually shout out to Craig McKenzie, as always, for providing so many beautiful photos, but also to the community, to our delivery partners, to everyone who was able to write up such awesome articles about the mahi that they've been doing, and to share some cool photos of their team and their volunteers and their community in the field. Couldn't have done that without you guys. So thank you for putting up with me chasing you down for articles and stories and numbers and all sorts. Really appreciate it. But I think that's all we have for tonight. It's been a pleasure to catch up with everyone. Really enjoyed the chat. It's quite cool to see, people responding in real time. And I have recorded this, so I'll be sending that out for people that would like to share it, or so on and so forth. So yeah, thank you to everyone for being here. Thank you to everyone for the mahi that you've done this year. And let's carry it on and keep smashing those possums and rats and stoats and hedgehogs, Monty. Thanks everyone. Ka kite.